all be able to do nothing more than benefit, but no one can see that in sight. What direction do we go in now, one might say? What direction should we all find ourselves running off into? So, providing that you listen to a nation that loves to deflate when it's in benefit of the people and inflate when it's beneficial for themselves, you have to understand that you must be very careful about how and when you place your eggs into the basket. America is still selling everyone the story that all black people came from Africa. They want you to believe that those melanated black folks came from Africa and that they were brought to the United States against their own would-be so-called free will. But all of the history in which they find, all of the archaeology and that they find, I'm talking about when they go out and they dig and they dig and they dig until they dig to the oldest would-be part of the would-be earth they can find. And they keep realizing that those melanated black folks never came from Africa, surely not against their own will, because they were always in the area that they found them in when they came to the United States of America and named it that. How about that? Half the old ships that America has found that they claim sailed in from Africa haven't even had their bottoms never wet except for the rain and which fell out of the sky during the time of Noah. Other than that, they didn't get wet. Or they would not have gotten wet. They didn't have any salt water on them. They had rainwater under the bottom of them. And they were turned upside down, never to have been moved. Don't let that get out to the history teachers of the United States of America. They'll lose their minds. After telling all the would-be stories to their children during school time about some boat sailing with a bunch of Negroes or niggers from Africa and landing in the United States of America, when there was only one Plymouth Rock that could have been hit. White people were on that ship. They only had one nigger on there, and his name was Shine. Stay with me, you'll catch it in a minute. Because the United Nations is not lost to these stories. Only people that are lost to the stories in which I'm talking about now is the people in the place they call the United States of America. They have no clue about the ship that Shine sailed on. And that ship was full of white people, known as crackers, coming from a place that by the time they got to America, they started calling them Quakers. They were shaking. And the Quakers became known as the Christians. Stay with me. You would think, after being on a boat that would be rugged and blocked, you would find a God somewhere. If not under the Plymouth Rock, you would have found him on Plymouth Rock. I'm just giving you truth based upon the fact of where the world is headed right now. Because the United States of America is not going to be able to make a difference of what the United Nations and the rest of the nations are going to do in order to be able to bring them to accountability and to make sure that they never, ever allow them to do what they've done up to this point again. The United States of America is so in the business of trying to convince the melanated people that are already there in the United States of America that they came from somewhere else. And this was only to do nothing more than to clog their minds and to confuse them more by believing that they had killed off all of their would-be so-called elders that would have given them the truth, that they had never gone any place, they had never moved any place. And the more of their elders that would come forth to tell the young people that you never went anywhere, you've already been here, America would do nothing more than execute them before noon. As Mary as was, Mary, that she would have had only one lamb to worry about, she couldn't keep it in the place it should have been, that it didn't become slain as well. The lamb got slain. Yes, it was slain. You'll catch it in a minute. Like I said, you haven't read the books. You're too busy believing that you have to count the dollars and run down all of the cents until you have not yet read the books. I just need one group of people that will truly read the book. Can't get anybody to really read the book. The book has your history in it. The book has the truth in it. You're not going to get it unless you read it. You got to. You have to read the books. Look at that. United Nations tell them you have the same books. You have the same books. There are no different books. There was one book, one. It was torn in 4 different parts. Those 4 different parts went into 4 different directions of the earth. Maybe your part didn't have the truth in it. I don't know. I doubt it. But that's the way you're acting. You're acting as if though that the part of the book that you got had no truth in it. You're acting as if though the part of the book that you got did not have directions in it, or instructions, or ideals, or promises, or wishes, or wills. You act as if though your book didn't have any of those. Your portion of the book had everything that all the other portions had. And if you believe that a God would have torn a book into 4 equal parts and not given everyone the exact same thing, you have a problem. Say with me, United Nations, I know you're not lost. I don't have to say this over and over to nations like Russia, China. I don't have to say this to nations like Ukraine or Israeli. I don't have to say anything to them in this nation because they already know. They're at war right now, and they're beginning to realize something that no one else is realizing. All of them have one enemy, and it's called Babylon, and Babylon sits in the northwest. All of them got the same problem. It's called the American dollar with some American presidents on it, that those presidents themselves were nothing more than deadbeat dads, or they were nothing more than molesters, or they were nothing more than what would have been adulterers. They were nothing more than murderers. They were nothing more than liars. They were nothing more than thieves. And everybody on the planet has the same problem. It's these would be groups of individuals that they're dealing with. Right now, every nation is fighting. Is believing that for some strange reason, they're going to have one of those old men that's going to be doing nothing more than wearing a bag on his side so he don't urinate in his pants, to come over and tell them that they're going to somehow fight them or battle them out of trouble. Providing right now that if everybody joined an army suit, a military outfit, and put their commanders in the same outfit and put them out on the battlefield, I can assure you that America does not have one leader that's physically fit to be able to accomplish the task of being the commander-in-chief. Not one of them. And I have to admit that even on the feminine side of America right now, they will have a real hard chance, a real hard opportunity, a real hard with the privilege of finding one female that they have in the White House right now that has the ability to be able to command any would-be troop of any level out on the battlefield right now. I understand Mallory Taylor Greene might say is a pretty good weightlifter. But see, you can't just be a weightlifter on the battlefield. I've been there before. You can't just be a weightlifter. There's other things that's required of soldiers on the battlefield. But the United States of America right now does not have one leader at the White House that is capable of commanding any outfit, any military outfit, whether it be Marines, Navy, Air Force, whether it be their Coast Guard. They don't have one fit leader in the White House right now that can be able to go out and command any would-be group of men or women and be able to protect their nation. Not one. And that's what all the nations are paying attention to right now. Isn't that right, United Nations? Everybody is paying attention. Right now, all the nations are laughing. They just now had a G7 summit where 7 nations met. And they met with the 7th nation that was deemed to be a nation, and that was the United States of America. That was 6 nations plus the United States of America that truly met in the G7. And they realized that the United States of America had the weakest would-be leader there. Most of them kept on trying to bring him back. Most of them were standing around with nothing more than smelling salts to keep him awake or to keep him vibrant or keep him even in the focus of what they were talking about. He started talking about Peter Pan. He started talking about Mother Goose. He started talking about Alice in Wonderland, while everyone else was talking about bombs and nuclear weapons. In the meantime, everybody was so concerned because he had his aide of assistants standing in the corner carrying nothing more than a bunch of packets of the pens to make sure he don't wreck himself. Stay with me. I'm just telling you the truth so you can understand, United Nations, that yes, we know that the United States of America is not being a nation where anybody is concerned about right now. No nation finds the United States of America in no condition where they are even contemplating having to battle them at war, because they see them as a weakling nation. Everybody knows they're a weakling nation because their leadership is weak. And I say again, everyone has studied the book of The Art of War. And that book tells them that if you see your enemy destroying themselves, you let them. And the United States of America is destroying themselves. Their leadership is weak. It will stay weak as long as they keep trying to put those exact same leaders in which they already had beforehand. I don't care if it's Barack Obama. I don't care if it's a would-be so-called William Jefferson Clinton. They are weak leaders. They were weak leaders then because they had no clue They have no clue of the art of war. They might know how to pay someone to go out to take care or handle some would-be so-called domestic situation. But foreign situations, they're lost. And I can tell you, not to call their names, but even in their bedrooms is a foreign situation for them, and they can't handle that. Just giving you facts. So the United Nations has already, everyone has sat down. They have evaluated, they have investigated, they have done all their research, and they already know right now that they're doing nothing more than spinning their wheels, dealing with the weakest nation on the planet that's claiming to have so much money to be able to buy or pay for their would-be so-called demise of their enemies. And now they have already realized that even their money, their so-called coins, their gold and silver is lacking. And you better believe that if you hire someone to do something and you come short of what you owe them, you're going to be their next subject of elimination. Meantime, let me do us all a great favor and take a short break.
Thank you, sir. So, yes, family, we were discussing the effects of the Israeli-Palestinian war on surrounding nations. And southern Lebanon it's not new to dealing with issues coming out of Israeli, because they've dealt with situations from the so-called Israeli state for decades now. So now the city of Alma al-Shab, which lies in southern Lebanon, it's just about a kilometer from the Israeli border. And since October of last year, they've been dealing with crossfire fighting between Israeli forces and Hezbollah. They're saying about 800 residents have left the city, and now there's only about 100 left, according to their officials. Mr. Ide, who has lived in that area, is actually putting out a fire in the house that had been hit by a missile, and then another building was struck by another bomb. He stated that nobody knows why they are attacking our houses. It's not our war. However, because of their closeness to the border, it has been heavily targeted by Israeli forces, especially over the last 9 months. A day after October 7th, Hezbollah and its allies fired waves of rockets from Lebanon into what they consider a disputed area along the border in apparent show of support for Hezbollah. Israeli retaliated with drone strikes, and both sides have really ramped up the intensity of those attacks across that border area. By the end of May, Alma al-Shab had been hit 188 times by Israeli forces, according to the Beirut Urban Lab. That's a research center that uses data from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. It's not just the city of Alma al-Shab, but it's also other villages in southern Lebanon that have been bombarded as well. The Israeli army says that it targets Hezbollah fighters and infrastructure and retaliates to attacks on Israeli armed bases in northern Israel. However, some of Lebanon's top officials have actually accused Israeli of implementing scorched earth tactics to make the whole area uninhabitable. And that has been confirmed by the mayor, or the deputy mayor of the city, William Haddad. Said so far, Israel's bombardment has completely destroyed 10 houses, damaged 120 others, and hit the town's main water tank. Some 12,000 square kilometers or 3,000 acres of agricultural and forest land have been burned as well. So it appears that the same way that they are attacking the Gaza Strip, they're doing so also in Lebanon. Again, the scorched earth policy. So on a similar note now, about 1 million Palestinians have been forcibly displaced in the Gaza Strip since the Rafah operation in May. And the UN Human Rights Council delivered a report stating that the civilian death toll has grown by 72%. Mr. Volker Turk, who is a member, said at the 56th session of the UN Human Rights Council, he made the statement that he's appalled by the disregard for international human rights and humanitarian law by parties to the conflict in Gaza. More than 120,000 people in Gaza, overwhelmingly women and children, have been killed or injured since October the 7th as a result of the intense Israeli offensives. Since Israel escalated its operations into Rafah in early May, almost 1 million Palestinians have been forcibly displaced yet again, while aid delivery and humanitarian access deteriorates further, he concluded. He said, in turn, Palestinian armed groups continue to hold many hostages and in some cases in densely populated areas, putting them and Palestinian civilians at further risk. He said that the situation in the West Bank is dramatically deteriorating. As of June 15th, 528 Palestinians. 133 of them children have been killed. So, family, we do see that this continues to be a very, very severe situation that people are still dealing with in that area. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and yield back to you, sir.
I'm still shining. How do you hear me?
Very clearly, sir.
We do know that this is the United Nations call. I want to say that with all of the would-be so-called writings that we receive from the media is prone to doing one thing. They love to play on the emotions of the people. That's why they love printing and writing on things such as the children are dying, or the women are dying, or the cats are dying, or the animals are dying, or the trees are being killed off. Nobody cares about all of that, or they shouldn't, because it's much more serious than them playing on the emotions of the people. Right now, the whole world is dying. The world, the planet is dying. Why would you leave children and dogs and cats and all those things behind, knowing that the world is going to die? Where do they go? Where do they live? How are they going to survive? You go into the average place right now, you see children actually, they're in control of the parents. The parents are dying off. So how do the children survive without the parents? I know the ignorance of the United States of America and the system that they set up, whereby they have visualized doing nothing more than making villains out of people in whom they should be looking to build up. And those that they have built up should be put in their place so they can understand that no one is here to destroy you but to save you. But America has caused so much disruptive problems and situations on the planet right now until everyone seems to be attacking each other. There shall be wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. That will be fathers against sons and mothers against daughters and vice versa. But the end is not yet, because America is so into the business of doing nothing more than manipulating the people based upon emotions. Let me help them out. I have a world in which they themselves need to start focusing on this right here, and it's ready for them. It's taking shape as we so speak. This world that I'm about to tell you about, pay close attention to it. It's all about the Son of Man. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his head a blasphemous word, name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and his great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world, all of the nations, all the people, they marveled and followed the beast. So they worshiped the dragon, who gave authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" And he was given a mouth, speaking great things of blasphemy. And he was given authority to continue for at least 42 months. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwelled in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, every tongue, and every nation. All who dwelled on the earth, he had power over them, and all who dwelled on that earth will worship him, whose names are not been written in the book of life. That book of life is known as the index book of this planet. The book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundations of the world. If any one of you has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercised all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and caused the earth of those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. I believe I'll stop right there. I keep saying to you, you must read the books. You must read the books. Because it's up on you right now. This is the prophecy of the universe. He who has ears, let him hear. He who has eyes, let him see. That the prophecy of the universe cannot be bypassed just because some man wants to believe that he has the ability to lead those in whom he have already led them into captivity. He too must go into captivity. I just told you that. There is no way out. He who kills with the sword shall die by the sword. There is no way around it. And everyone in that little small area that they call the United States of America is now wanting to be the leader, wanting to be in charge. No, make me. I'll take over. I know how to do it. And each one of them right now wouldn't be able to go into a room and scramble 2 eggs, 2 toasts, and 2 slices of bacon without burning it. They're too busy trying to get other places. They're too in a hurry trying to make something else happen until they fail to pay attention to what they're cooking. Ignorance thereof. There's all of them. They will receive nothing more than the mark of the beast. For this beast has been granted power to give breath to the image of the beast. And that image should be both spoke and caused to do nothing more than to kill. He caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand and on their foreheads. And that no one may buy or sell except one who has this mark or the name of the beast. Of that one that they call the number, that number name. Here's the wisdom. Let him who understands calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man. His number is 666. And no, that number is not a number to be in fear of. It's not a number whereby this number can take control over any human being and change them into being some demon. That demon has already come and gone. That demon has set up a world, a universal world, where homosexuality runs rapid, where same-sex marriage is accepted, where one can do as he pleases as long as he has enough gold and silver in a bag in which he has placed nothing more than that gold and silver in it with holes. I know. They don't like when I do this because I'm giving them the prophecy of the universe. According to their own books, I wonder what nation now would tell you that when he returns, he shall give them back their own books. He would give them back their own religion. He would give them back their own belief. And he will make sure that their beliefs and their books all come to be nothing more than truth, according to their own would-be will. This is what they will. This is what they desire. They desire that the books in which they have been reading that they say are truth must become reality for them, or they would have come in vain. Thereby, he's going to make sure that their books be true for them. Everything that was written, and if they want these would-be so-called monsters of a face figure of people to come down and destroy them, then so be it. If they want a real dragon, then he will send them a real dragon. If they want a real lion, he'll send them a real lion. If they want a real leopard, he'll send them a real leopard. If they want a real bear, he will send them a real bear, but you better believe the bear will be larger than the earth in which they shall reside on. That lion is going to be larger than the world in which they reside on. That leopard is going to be larger than the world in which they reside on. That dragon is going to be larger than the world in which they reside on. And those 4 beasts will fight. And they will fight in the middle of the air. And everything around them will be turned upside down. Everything around them will be destroyed for a moment of time. For the scratching and the clawing and the biting and the blowing of nothing more than smoke, fire, and soot will be all over everything. And then the Son of Man will step down into the middle of the fight, and there he will put them in their place, whereby they will then be no longer beasts, but they will become nothing more than small, would-be living creatures. And then we'll then know who is who on the planet when it comes down to the control of the authority in which Allah, God of the universe, has placed into his hands. I got work to do. I know. Wow, great entertainment, and you were all into it. You would love to hear more. And not now. I got work to do. I've looked outside my window. It's now day, and man must work while it's just day, for when night comes, no man can work. My work must go on. You want someone to entertain you, my advice to you is stop working. Don't go to work at night. Don't go to work in the daytime. Just sit and wait. Someone to come along and entertain you. I can assure you, it will not be the Son of Man, for I have work to do. I must be about my Father's business. Yes. The United Nations, you're being afforded an opportunity right now. The clouds are beginning to darken. The moonlight is beginning to shine through. You've given an opportunity to get you a little bit of rest. It won't last long. I would tell you, hurry. Sure, let's go. Move it quickly. Let's get into your hamlets so you can get a little bit of sleep, because the daylight will come again and catch you up, and you'll lose more than what you lost yesterday. Time to get your rest, though. No, I'm not taunting you. I'm giving you a promise And if you don't get your rest, you'll wish you had. Meantime, I got to go to work. More and more I look outside, the brighter it becomes. You get your rest. I got you covered. For now, peace and love, and nightfall.
Thank you, Yehoshua, and thank